Hi everyone. So yesterday I was having breakfast with my daughter, and the interesting question that came up was whether God is real or not real, and what I thought about it. And I find that such an interesting question because there used to be a time where we used to say, well, God is got nothing to do with science, so it can't be real. There's no measurement, you can't measure God, so, God doesn't exist. But something has seriously changed today. Quantum scientists are starting to bring God back into the narrative. Strange, but true. Let me take you there. So if we have a look at what's happened to science, science is always, good scientists are always diving into the unknown because that's where the great mystery is. That's where, that's what's interesting to them, not the old stuff. It's the mystery, what is behind everything. And so that has always been the nature of science. And of course, in the early days, science was dealing with matter, the objective world only, subjective world not real, so we're not going to pay attention to that. Let's have a look at what we can measure. And so they stuck to the objective world, and they started with matter, and they started to break matter apart. And of course, eventually they came to molecules, and then they broke molecules apart, and they came to atoms. And they thought, at last we come to the basic building blocks of matter. But actually, that wasn't true. Eventually, they were able to split the atom, open the atom up, and found particles. And in the beginning, there were only a few particles, 3 or 4 or 5 particles, and there were 6, and there were 20, then there were 50. I think there are now something like 200 particles inside the atom. So, of course, they thought, okay, so now we have the basic building blocks. They're particles. The truth is that particles are not matter. They're energy, information. So suddenly the whole concept of matter started to change, that maybe matter isn't what we think it is. It isn't something just solid. Because when you break matter apart, you eventually come to particles, which are not matter at all. And not only are they not matter, they're appearing and disappearing. And so the big question then became, where are these particles disappearing into? And that's so interesting. Now that we're thinking about it, we have particles appearing and disappearing. They disappear into a void, some kind of space out there, and then appear suddenly again and come back and build up slowly matter again. So while matter looks solid, that's an illusion. It's not what you think it is. Matter is energy, information. And this energy, which is particles, are appearing and disappearing. So your whole body, in one sense, is appearing and disappearing. So interesting. So what is the space? Well, the space was a puzzle for scientists at the beginning. They thought it was just like a vacuum space, empty of everything, although things were disappearing into it. Now they're calling it the quantum potential. In other words, we can't really get inside the space, but we know that it exists because all particles are disappearing into the space and coming out of it. So we know that space is a black hole. And out of the space is coming matter, particles, which eventually become atoms and then become matter again. So this quantum potential is such an interesting area because, first of all, there's nothing, they can't get inside it. There's nothing appearing to be there, but it's full of potential. So isn't that an interesting word? Potential. It potentially can become anything. It's full of potential energy. So good scientists are trying to see how they can capture that energy. It seems unlimited. Unlimited energy, unlimited information, unlimited potential sitting there in the quantum potential. So that's what's happened to science today. And I don't want to go into too much detail around this so-called quantum potential, but it's interesting because it's full of potential, but it has nothing. It's present everywhere. It's all-powerful. And it's full of information, so it's all-knowing as well. All-powerful, all-knowing, present everywhere. Starting to sound familiar. So, if you think about God, one can begin to understand that if God is unlimited potential, present everywhere and nowhere, outside time and space, well, it's no different to the quantum potential. And that's why a lot of quantum scientists are suddenly becoming believers, because they recognize that it's just a name. If they call it quantum potential or they call it God, yeah, that's okay. So quantum scientists and Christian and other believers and mystics are all coming together and starting to have a conversation. We can talk together. If you go another route, let's go the route of mind. So if we look at mind, we come to thinking and we come to emotions. But if we keep going deeper, beyond thinking, beyond emotions, which is what you try and do in meditation, not pay attention to thought. If thought slows down, you come to emotions slow down. So if you can go deeper beyond thinking and emotions, you don't come to nothing. You come to a space out of which you can be aware of the thinking and emotions. So awareness is deeper. Knowing, one can know things without thinking, so knowing is deeper. Intuition is when knowing flows into thinking and thinking says, I've got a good idea. So at the deeper level, we have knowing and feeling. We can still feel. We may not have emotions, but we can still feel. So feeling is deeper also than emotions. And if we ask the question, okay, so what is feeling being held in? And what is knowing being held in? If I know things, then where's it coming from? So if you go deeper, to a deeper level, then eventually you come to just pure consciousness. So at the most superficial level, we have thinking and emotions. Deeper than that, we have feeling and knowing. If we go deeper than that, then we come to consciousness itself. So consciousness is the ground, as it were, of our inner life. So now we have three different names that mean the same thing. Consciousness, which is present everywhere. Everybody has consciousness. It's all-knowing. And if it has some power as well, then we can talk about mind over matter. So the word consciousness and the word quantum potential and the word God, start to make sense how they can all be. They're talking about something of the great mystery that I call the great mystery out there. So, and you can use the word infinity. I mean, why do we have a word like infinity? Because we know that there has to be something like infinity, even though we don't understand it, because infinity has no boundaries. It's boundaryless. And yet everything is contained in it. The whole cosmos is contained in this background of infinity. So what would happen? I mean, we can send spaceships to Mars and further maybe. How much further can we go? The deeper you go, the more space we discover. Maybe at the end of the cosmos, there's only space. And out of that space comes the whole cosmos. So again, you can see how the word, even infinity, can take us to the same place. Infinity present everywhere. The whole universe is contained in it. So, another word for God. So today we're starting to recognize that all these different words are actually telling us something about the nature of God. And you can decide what name you want to call it. You want to call it God. Nothing wrong with it. I don't particularly like the word God because it's my conditioning makes me think of some body, and that can't be God. So the quantum potential is another nice name for God. Consciousness is another nice name. And infinity. All these words take us to the same place. So whether you believe in God or not, you are soaked in it. You are soaked in this great infinite mystery that is out there. Have a good day.